What's up, folks? So I wanted to take you through our 2016 GMC Yukon Denali a little bit. I really wouldn't even call this a build, but it's kind of a build, I guess. It's becoming one. So your wife wants something very quiet to drive. She doesn't want it noisy, doesn't want it loud. And your kids, two boys, want it rowdy. And so you have to find a compromise. And so that was the situation with this. We know it's got the 6.2, 8-speed automatic. It's a pretty reasonable setup. It's very similar to what's in the Corvette. Can make pretty decent power and gets pretty good gas mileage. Trip to Florida, we just got 20 miles a gallon. On 93, splitting up driving between she and I got 20.3 over the course of 11-hour drive. So this, in fact, was better than what I got on the Explorer ST that we used to have. So you really didn't give up anything to get extra room and in the V8 sound. So anyway, when we're contemplating what we're going to do for exhaust, do a set of headers with cats. It's almost $2,000. Do a full exhaust system. Those are all really pricey. If you got a really nice one, probably going to be about $2,000. I mean, you have $4,000 in the exhaust system, and you only make about 20 horsepower to the tire. So rather than doing that, and having had numerous cars before that had cutouts on them, we elected to do a $300 cutout. So we've got an electric cutout, switches underneath the dash, install that, gives her the whisper quiet with the stock exhaust. So manifolds are still on, stock exhaust is still on. Mackie's going to try to get a little video underneath the car of the general area that the cutout's sitting in. So you can see down there, that's where it's at. It's after the first cats, the primary cats. So it's still emissions compliant. No real tuning is required to this point. And then we also decided for a little bit of that whoosh sound, you're going to do sound, you got to intake and exhaust. We did a cold air intake. And so we did the cold air intake. It's an S&B. It's the see-through. And so I think it looks nice. I've got a cold air inductions on my Trailblazer Super Sport. This is very similar in the way it looks. It functions as it's supposed to, pulls cold air in. It's not open to the engine bay, so it's not necessarily sucking in hot air. And then a buddy of mine had a programmer hook me up with it. I knew this really wasn't worth a full tune quite yet, and so we're running a programmer on it for whatever horsepower that's worth. I mean, obviously on the internet they tell you it's worth way more than it is. I don't know if it gave us any horsepower, but at least it's on there, and it's an OTS over the off the shelf, so it's pretty safe from that perspective. Main thing was, I guess if it's important to you, get rid of the top speed limiter. That's not something we're too terribly worried about, but nonetheless, it does that and increases performance, at least they think, a little bit. So these are some of the things we did. We also, if you want to get back and take a picture of the car itself, we actually did lower it. And so that's something that I do on all my vehicles. It sits terrible in the back end because it's made a tow width. They got that increased height in the back for towing purposes. And so with this, we did a 2-4 drop. So if Mackie can get back and get back up a little bit and get a wide view of the vehicle. My guy NorCal from out in California, NorCal SS, he's been lowering vehicles for 2 decades now. He helped me on my 2007 Trailblazer Super Sport. And so I've known him for about 15 years, and he always lowers stuff. He lowers it right. He lowers it affordably. Everything functions as it should. And so I just called him up and said, this is what I've got. Hook me up with a package. It was a really affordable package. He also got the custom end links in the back, which get rid of some of the slop in the rear end. I will say, for no more than what's done, it handles pretty well. These are relatively new tires. But for a big old vehicle like this, it actually handles pretty well. So the 2-4 drop, the end links, the cold air intake, and the cutout, and a little bit of tune really has transformed this vehicle. We'll show you the sounds later but it's really fun to drive. I mean, honestly, for a big old vehicle like this, when you get the sound going, it's pretty fun to drive. The kids really like it. Every time we get in the car, they say, "Open the cutout, Dad." Still getting really good gas mileage for what it is, and I can flip the button and make it quiet for my wife when she's taking the kids to school because she doesn't want that noise. So if you're thinking about, you have a vehicle like this and you're bored with it, or you want to do something a little different, you want that sound. I mean, it's basically a more or less an LT1 direct injected 6.2 liter V8. This will help you to get more in that mode and turn it from a soccer mom vehicle into something that's kind of a quasi hot rod that you can enjoy driving. So we'll share the videos along with this, and if you have any questions, we're going to tag the different manufacturers we've used, the different folks we've used, and if you have any questions, post them in the chat. All right, guys, thanks so much. Have a great Sunday.